Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. And today we have the Target exclusive Tyrannosaurus Rex electronic real feel Tyrannosaurus Rex, the 93 classic remake from the original Jurassic Park movie, the remake of the original Red Rex, which I used to have back inside the days when it first came out, but unfortunately I lent it to some family members, younger family members, when I got older, and I wasn't able to get it back returned to me. So this is our chance to take a look and review at the new remake. So first I'm going to focus on the box here. You can see we got the box art, which looks kind of traditional to the way the old version was, the original. The same kind of colorway. You can see on the back here, you've got Tyrannosaurus Rex. You got different languages as well. Shows you the action features. If I'm not mistaken, the original one had a similar kind of layout, which showed the action features as well. Little forest background, preview of the other figures that you can buy. Let you know you got the real feel as far as one of the features, the roar feature, and then the chomp feature. Now the features that the previous one used to have, and I'm gonna put this aside now, and we're gonna jump into having the figure on screen. Take that off the table. One of the previous features that the original one had was if you could press in, let's see, you could press in this area here and it would normally make the jaws open up, but now the button to press is here and it doesn't make the jaws open up because the jaws, you open them up on your own. The other one used to have a stomping feature where you would lift it up and stomp down like that, and it would make a stomping sound on the feet from just having the feet touch the ground. Now, nothing on the original one other than the arms had movable, posable areas. So the legs in this one move and the other one didn't. Those are the two main features with the other one, aside from the fact that you had the real feel type of skin. Now, this one changes those two action features to keeping the same with the sound button, but instead now you have to actually open up the mouth yourself. So the articulating mouth is, manual as opposed to opening up through an action feature with the raw sound. And there you get the raw sound. There's actually a couple multiple sounds. I believe there should be one more. So those are the four sounds. Now in this case, you got to open up the jaws to make it look like, it's making those sounds. With the other one, it went hand in hand, the action feature, with actually pressing the button for it to open up the jaws and make the sound. So that's one thing you might view as a negative or a positive. Going back to the stomp feature, this one replaces the stomp feature with the ability to actually swallow figures it's supposed to be little dinosaurs, but from previous reviews you could see that they're actually able to swallow figures, and we actually have an Owen figure from Jurassic World that we're going to test that out with. So essentially the features, the two features, have been modified and changed in this figure, and I think in some aspects it's a positive, some aspects some people might see a negative, but having a free articulating jaw is great for posability, along with the fact that you can actually now put figures down the throat of it. And the body style of this one seems to be modeled off of, to the best of what I can tell, the I forget what it's called again, but the massive size figures, the ones that are I forget what they're called now, but the ones that are like about 100 centimeters or about 40 inches long, the I forget what it's called now, that they what that T-Rex is called, but the oversized one, you could look it up. This one has that same body style in its design in terms of its proportions, which is actually smaller proportions, but generally when those figures are very huge on a larger scale, they which go along with the 6-inch figures, as far as the 6-inch human figures, then it seems oversized, seems fitting. But in this case, it seems kind of smaller compared to the other mainline T-Rexes that have a little bit more, like maybe heavier stomachs, bigger throat areas, but this still seems to work fine, and it's nice proportions. One thing I want to point out that has been noticed so far with other previous reviews is that there's a flaw in the fact that the feet, you've got a lot more detail on one foot versus the other, which most people wouldn't notice. But here the lines and the ridges are more, there's more of them, where here you could see that they're more further spread apart. Now that's kind of one little minor flaw that you may be able to overlook. It's not a huge deal. Also, now looking at some of the details on it, on the face, whatever, the details seem to be very well detailed compared to the other ones of the main line. And I will also say too that the head, being that the proportions on those large scale figures were more in line in terms of the size of the head and whatnot like that, the head is more proportioned to where it should be in relation to the size of a T-Rex, where a lot of the other ones from the main line actually have like a slightly larger proportion head. And you could tell by looking at the size of Owen. Owen is a little bit longer than the size of the head, which would mean that if he's like, say, a 6-foot person, he's about a whole head size shorter in length. I mean, the T-Rex's mouth is about a whole head size shorter in length, which would make the T-Rex's jaw about 5 feet, which is what it's supposed to be if you look it up. Now, if you look at one of my previous reviews of the, I believe it's the Stomp and Escape, and even the Epic Roaring, the mouth is actually longer than that, the jaws, so it equates to bigger. And even though it looks nice in terms of the way it fits the figure, it's actually less proportionally accurate to what a real life T-Rex would be. So it's actually nice that the scope and the scale is still able to do that while still being able to have that action feature, which is what we're going to get into in a little bit. Now, up until this point here, you have the soft skin, real skin, and then there's a line here, you may not be able to see it all that well, that divides into the harder head hard plastic along with the hard plastic on the leg. So I think that's a nice kind of balance between where you have the real feel and then where you have the hard plastic, along with the endoskeleton that makes it feel like you have almost like a bone structure on the inside. So that's really nice too. The arms are articulating as well, and they can wave outwards, but I would probably just prefer to keep them inside that general position so they're not getting all loose and all over the place. Though the original Rex used to always have its arms sticking out wide, and I always thought that looked funny. I also want to comment on the fact that the teeth here they're actually separate, like all the rest of the new line ones, where it's a separate mold, so you don't have to worry about it scraping. It's a nice bone color or off-white color like most of the teeth are or should be. They're not as sharp as the other mainline ones, like the Epic Roaring or the Stomp and Escape. They're not as sharp either. They're not as long. I'm sorry, I forget if I said that both twice, but they're not as sharp or long, but they're still fine, and they fit the proportion of this right here. So with that being said, the teeth actually still look nice. They're not overly sharp like the other ones. I do like how sharp the other ones are, but it's still not a negative because they still do have like nice, detailing between each tooth. They're definitely a lot smaller than the other one is, but it's more fitting, proportionate to the size of this one's head, because you couldn't take those same teeth and put it inside this one. Proportion wise, they wouldn't fit. They do look like a nice scale relative to, like I said, the figures and the head. So I won't really take too much away from that. Because they are proportionally more fitting, even though sometimes you like seeing over exaggerated things on figures, especially the mouth area of a T-Rex, because that's what you like to emphasize. Now, one thing I will say compared to the other ones is that this one actually has, a little bit of lips, because you can see here how much the teeth are inwards. And I actually had other models from the other line, like the other main model lines, like the Epic Roaring, or especially even my Stomp and Escape, where the teeth are right at the borderline of the lips, coming almost outside of it. And you could even check that in one of my previous videos. And what you would see is, even though it still looks nice, this one has almost a sense of like the lips would come over it. So it protects it more from even falling out. They're deeper in there. And so that might even be the reason why they don't even look as long, is because they're probably more deeper into the mouth, which is actually not a bad thing. The tongue looks actually very detailed, even though it's not one of those tongues that come out on its own, similar to the Hammond Collection or the Epic Roaring, which both have the same type of tongue, a realistic feel tongue, which would have been nice. But at least this one does do like a lot of little stubbles in it. And I don't know if you could see that very well. We'll try to zoom in. And it has this little like ridges in it. It actually feels nice. So it's almost better than your standard kind of tongue that has very little detail, even though it's one of those tongues that actually, sit on the base of the mouth. But in this case, that's not bad compared to the other ones, because the action feature of swallowing actually is something that, that would get into the way of to some degree. So I don't have a problem with that in this case. So we're going to pull back here. I like the eyes on it. They have a very nice look. As I mentioned in my review of the Epic Roaring, I felt that the eyes were a little cartoony because that one was based off Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, and this one being not, I think it has more serious look in the eyes. But here goes the area where we can get the dinosaurs out. Like I said before, I think proportionate wise, this one actually fits better with what you would say a T-Rex would be in some aspects. I mean, the stomach probably would be heavier in a real life T-Rex, but for the Jurassic Park T-Rex, Jurassic Park never had a fat stomach. So this kind of fits with that. The proportion of the head is obviously more accurate. And we're gonna see if we can fit him down the throat, which we can. So it's made for small dinos, but it actually fits a human figure. And then what I really like about that is that you didn't have to, like some of the figures, like the one for Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. I forget the exact name of that figure. I think it's Devour and something. You can look that up. But the Dominion one, it has an oversized head. So it's almost like a similar feature where it has an oversized head, so you could sit them inside the mouth and then into the throat, but then it stops where you can't make them go all the way go down the stomach. But the point that they had to make the head oversized just to do that, it makes you see how far progress this has got to, where proportion wise, they didn't have to make anything oversized to still easily fit a figure into the mouth without a problem. You can see the jaws here fully wide open. There's plenty of room, because I just actually opened up a little bit longer, a little bit wider. Plenty of room. You can see here even going down the throat. Plenty of room for the figures to fit down there. So I just think that it's amazing that you could have a regular scale size and then have that feature. This is kind of a feature I would love to see on many more T-Rex going forward. I think, to me personally, everyone's got their taste of the T-Rex that they like best based on the main line, including the Hammond Collection line. And I would say I'm not big on articulation. So far, this is my favorite T-Rex of all. There are things I like of the other T-Rex, and eventually I'll do a video comparing all the Rex that I have, but which is not a whole lot, just the Stomp and Escape and the Epic Roaring. But pretty much this one has probably the features I like the best. I love the real feel. I love the whole being able to swallow humans, not just small dinosaurs, but humans, without actually breaking the scale. I know I've been stuck on that for a minute, but I really just like that. One thing I do find as a negative, but this is just me, is I wish that the jaws had a more ratcheting aspect to them, because I don't like the idea of joints getting loose, which is why I don't like the idea of the Hammond Collection. For me, it's a great figure, but I think I don't like the idea of something being able to get loose. So I wish that the jaws had a more ratcheting effect. Getting figures out of here, though, is a little tough coming from the belly. That's the one thing about it. It's not really a huge space to get them out. I want to make sure that I can get them out, but I could definitely see over time it getting loose. I could definitely see that being a problem. Yes, I could definitely see that being a problem, and I'm trying to get them out, and I'm having a hard time. And so it just goes to show, I've seen people do it on other videos. There we go. But just the hassle of it alone, I probably would just dump them out the same way he came in. But to be honest with you, just the fact that you can fit him down to the stomach, just let him sit there as you play with him or as your kids play with him, I just think is amazing in itself. So I like that. Here you can see him standing next to him. It's a nice difference in height and scale. I really like it. Let me get the full length on camera. And yeah, you got the tail, which is, a little bit flexible. They say there's a bendy wire inside. I really don't want to really play with that because I'd rather keep it its same length and don't want to really destroy it. I'm going to keep this for a collectible, as a collectible item. I really love the detail on the head. I think it's one of the best heads you have for the Rexes. Yeah, and I mean, there's not really much else I can say about it. Here goes the scan on it. You could kind of almost view that as blending battle damage, which the original one didn't have, but the young T-Rex did have in the original line. So here it's almost like battle damage. I think that this Rex is probably one of the best that exists out there. I actually, right now, for me, it's the number one. Like I said, there are some features on it that I would prefer on the other one. Some features on this one I prefer over the other one, so vice versa. But as a whole, I would say that I like this Rex better than all the rest. Let me know, comments inside the bottom if what you think, what your thoughts are on the figure. Do you want to get it? Do you not want to get it? Where does it rank in terms of your best to least? Let me know. Some people I've heard say they like it better than the Handmade Collection one. Some people say they don't. They really go for the same price. There's a Target exclusive. Or what's your favorite? I know previously before that, some people thought the Epic Roaring was a really their favorite. Let me know in the comments what you think. What are your favorite? How do you rank them? Give me a listing of the rankings or whatnot. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys next time.